Greetings and salutations. Welcome to Ref the District's QB1 Press Your Luck, where we try to discuss who Washington could have at the QB1 position here in 2023. This video is brought to you by Don't Sleep Energy. Head out to don'tsleepenergy.com. Use our code. Get yourself 10% off everything. Either those wonderful drinks the gentlemen are having or some of this nice swag you can see behind me as well. You can get yourself 10% off. Don't Sleep Energy. I'm telling you guys, that's been really great to have. Like when you're up at like 2 o'clock in the morning one night and you got to work the next day, Don't Sleep Energy. It's what's going to get you through that day. I'm telling you, real good stuff there. All right, Stoner, I think it's your turn. Press your luck.
Come on, Stoner. Give us a good one.
All right, here we go. Listen, none of this crap. Okay,
All right.
let's go. All
No
right,
Derek Cars.
All right, start it up. All right. No Sam Darnold's. Here we go. And stop. Oh, yeah.
All right.
I'll take Justin Fields.
Justin
Ooh.
Fields.
Hey, baby. Love him.
This is a nice, young, sexy option, right? Like
Mhm.
this one should be pretty interesting to see where we have him on our lists and what he could do. Now, preface this with the typical, we understand this is a quarterback you're going to have to trade for. We're not talking about what it would take to get him. If you want to listen to that, you're going to have to listen to our Wednesday show every Wednesday, 7:30 Eastern, right here on YouTube. And we'll talk about Justin Fields and what it would take to get him. That's going to happen on that show. Now, we will include the fact that this would cost Washington something, but we're not going to get into if it's 3 firsts and all this other stuff. That's a Wednesday conversation. This conversation here, gentlemen, I want just strictly, what do you feel about QB1 Justin Fields for the Washington Commanders? Trev, Stoner, press the button. Let's hear what you have to say.
I'd love it. I would love it. He's raw. He's talented. He's very, very mobile. He rushed for he almost set the record, almost broke Michael Vick's rushing record this year. At the Bears, they won 3 or 4 games.
Yeah.
So, because he didn't have anybody to throw it to. So if you don't throw it, you run it, right? And he showed that he could do that. He showed that Ohio State a little bit, but in NFL, he broke out for big runs all the time later on the season. Had a little bit of injury problems at the beginning of the season, but overcame those. I love him. Potential is high. The ceiling is so high. But the people his draft position, all that we did at Ohio State, the weapons we have here, Commanders with his young, our offense would be so young, it would give us time to build continuity and they can grow old together as a franchise and do big things here. Highlight reel, great arm, Ohio State quarterback. Now I know narratives are out there. Ohio State quarterbacks don't, pan out in NFL, but I want to mistake them. I want to correct them on that because Joe Burrow was originally Ohio State quarterback, got beat out, transferred to LSU, and now look at him. So he was the original Ohio State quarterback for all those out there with that. But yeah, Justin Fields, come on here, baby. Let's go to the playoffs. Let's go to the offs.
I have to
Stoner,
agree.
I was about to say, Stoner, you looked pretty excited there about Justin Fields. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I have to agree with most of that. He is raw. He is young. He has gotten better since he started, year one, when he only had 10 or 11 starts. The team was not good. Okay. This year, the year before, they were not good. That's why they've got the number 1 overall pick. Do they have the number 1 overall pick, right?
Yes, because everybody
number 1, because everyone thinks that this is how Justin Fields is potentially up for
That's
it,
right.
You trade away Justin Fields and you get a different QB1.
Yeah, and get a quarterback. So
because Justin Fields was an inherited QB.
Yeah, absolutely. This this coaching regime did not bring Justin Fields in or draft him, right? They inherited him, and maybe it's not going to work. But he showed flashes. Obviously, his legs are his biggest weapon. You love that. I love mobile quarterbacks like that, or running quarterbacks like Lamar Jackson is, like a Josh Allen is. Guys like that who run as well as throw. But he is so raw, and he has gotten better. He has shown flashes with his arm as well. The most passes he threw this year, 28. Think about that. 20, that's nothing. Okay. He's had a game where he went 20 for 25, I believe, in one particular game. He's had some good games. The team around him was not good. So yeah, I would love to have Justin Fields on this team. Like you said, a young guy, Ohio State connection with McLaurin and Samuel, right? I mean,
Mhm.
that seems like something like that would click
It's young.
well. Yeah, exactly. So I wouldn't hate him being here. I would really, really like it if they would have. We're not going to talk about what it would take to get him,
Right.
but it would take something to get him. You'd have to give up something fairly significant for a Justin Fields right now, just because the leverage that Chicago has, especially. Yeah, I'm all for it. I don't see really any downside. Let me ask you guys this. I'm going to give you guys some numbers. I'm going to give some comparison numbers. Okay. In his first year, he had 15 starts, right? 60.4% completion percentage, 2,240 yards, 17 TDs, 11 picks, and he had a 54 QBR.
Okay.
Okay. Now, I'm going to give you quarterback A or quarterback B. He's quarterback A. Here's quarterback B in his first year. Sorry, that was his second year that I just gave you. I apologize. But in his first year, he had 10 starts, 59% completion percentage, 1,870 yards, 7 touchdowns, 10 picks. This is Justin Fields.
Okay.
Okay. Quarterback B in his first year, 11 starts, 53% completion percentage, 10 TDs, 12 picks, and just over 2,000 yards and a 49.8 QBR. Okay. Very similar, right? Very, very, very similar. And then year 2 that I just gave you with Justin Fields with a 17 and 11, right? And the 1,140 yards rushing this year that he had, plus 8 touchdowns.
Yes.
Quarterback B in his second year.
Okay.
16 starts, 58.8%, 3,000 yards, 20 touchdowns to 9 picks, a 49.4 QBR, 510 rushing yards, and 9 TDs. Okay. Would you take, if you were given those stats,
Oh man,
would you take A or would you take B? Or are they pretty much the same?
I think that
that's tough.
I know who it is. It's Josh Allen.
It's Josh Allen.
Oh,
yeah, it's Josh Allen. And the worry that I would have here is I think everybody's thinking right now, like we're gonna find the next Josh Allen. Like that's the big thing, right? And I think that Justin Fields is on a upward trajectory. Maybe he gets to Allen's status or not. We'll see that. But I think it's dangerous to sit there and be like, this guy who was not all that great his first couple years, and then all of a sudden takes that next step. Like not all QBs do that, right? Josh Allen is the outlier. I will say that there's just something when you're watching Justin Fields that pops. Like you can see why he was drafted as high as he was. You can see why even Washington fans, and this is the biggest thing I think for me when it comes around the Justin Fields thing, Washington fans just 2 years ago were talking about how they wanted Justin Fields, and now they don't want him. And I'm like, but this is who you wanted. Like this is who he is. This is a guy who can beat you with his legs. This is a guy who flashes with his arm talent. Okay, because he does have arm talent, and if you develop him, which Washington's horrible doing, like this is exactly where he would have been had we drafted him those 2 years ago. So I don't understand what's really changed for people, because what I'm seeing from him, if I'm Chicago, I'm happy he's my quarterback. Maybe he doesn't take that Allen leap, that Josh Allen leap, but if he does, or even if he just becomes Justin Fields, right? Justin Fields in his own game and breaking, like you said, Trev, Michael Vick records on the ground. Would you not take prime Michael Vick for your team? I would.
The arm strength is there, right? It's not a question of arm strength.
Nope.
It's not a question of not having enough time to develop.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like he's in that. Most quarterbacks, it takes time for them to develop into really good quarterbacks. Not very many people come out in their rookie year and just explode out on the scenes, right? There are only so many Justin Herberts and Patrick Mahomes in this world, okay?
And Brock Purdy.
That just pop in game 1 and never look back. Most guys take years. You know, the Troy Aikmans, the Peyton Mannings, the Donovan McNabbs, all those guys, they take years. The Brett Favres, the the
Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers, exactly. They take time. It takes time to develop as a QB. Give him time. He's got 2 years now. Hopefully, you see that year 3 pop, especially if he's here in Washington, that he takes that next step like Josh Allen did.
Mm-hmm.
Most quarterbacks are like that. They take time to develop into an NFL quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Jalen Hurts is another example.
Yeah,
He
everybody
took a
got
year
on
where it
him.
was
Yeah,
great. And it just takes time.
and
It
now
just-
look,
you got to have the right.
MVP.
You have to have the right coaching, and you have to all that has to come together. But give these guys a little bit of time to develop first before we just start. Some guys, also, that after 1 year, they're
Yeah.
just not it. You know,
Yeah, the
like
Rosens, the Darnolds, the
exactly.
yeah, absolutely. Now, my thing here, Stoner, you talked about in our video with Derek Carr about QB wins. He's not put together a whole lot of wins in that regard.
Yeah, not many
in
at all.
fact, he's 5 for 20 at this point.
5 and 20.
5 and 20, yes.
Yeah.
5 and 20 is what he's looking at. What do you make of his wins and losses here?
Well, you remember his first year was one coach. Second year is another coach. So while he's trying to develop in his first year, then he's got to start all over in his second year, and he just didn't have talent around.
I was gonna say, yeah,
no talent.
None. Darnell Mooney's wide receiver 1 there, and he's like what,
Mhm.
5'11", 6 foot.
Yeah,
Like,
and he's only wide receiver 1 because they have to have a wide receiver 1.
yes,
Right.
so,
Somebody has to be wide receiver 1.
now he did have good stats, but he's wide receiver 1. But still,
Yeah.
he didn't have any talent, and he's running for his life.
No
most of the
one
time.
on the level of Terry McLaurin and everybody.
Exactly.
N'Keal Harry, I think, right?
Yeah,
And Claypool they brought over who didn't do
he
anything.
was quiet when
So he just didn't have anything, man. But and he didn't have much of a running game. They traded away some offensive linemen that they drafted high, right? Didn't they trade away a guy like in his second year that he was a top 10 pick? Something like that. Yeah, I mean,
Tevin
it's just a
Jenkins was
mess.
their stud O-line guy they drafted.
Yeah.
I wanted in Washington, but he didn't play half the year because of injury. So
Yeah, and they've had all kinds of issues over in Chicago, Washington type issues. Okay, they're all brought on by their own.
Bro, imagine
inability.
that 1,100 yards on the ground in Washington with the weapons around them.
Sure.
We'd have like 30, 35, 40 points on the board, bro.
Right. Yeah. And we watched him up close on that Thursday game. Now he wasn't great, right? That Thursday night game was like 12-7 or something like that.
Low game.
It was terrible.
Arthur Wentz won that game, but
Yeah, right. But I like what I see when I watch him play. I like his potential. I like his ability to grow and get better and better.
Yeah, so I bring that up because obviously his record isn't good, and I talked about how QB. I don't believe in QB wins-loss records. I don't think that's a real thing. It's a team sport. QBs often get tagged with that kind of stuff, and I understand why. But to me, it only paints part of the picture. And if you actually look at the team, like I said, you guys were saying, right? This guy, I mean, Mooney even is on IR, right? I mean, and Claypool was mid-season acquisition and didn't really amount to much there yet. We'll see how it plays out. But when you're looking at like the games themselves, again, there's just things that pop out. And I try to take some of the QBR when I'm just looking before going and watching the games myself, because you really have to watch the games yourself.
Sure.
There's a string of really good games that he's put together when you're looking, even though they ended in losses. Detroit, Miami, and Dallas all ended in losses, but he put up 29, 32, and 30 points on those. And he was the driving factor for what was successful for them. Green Bay, he played Green Bay 28-19. And that's the game that you mentioned, Stoner, where he was 20 for 25. 2 interceptions, no touchdowns. But I mean, he was largely no passing touchdowns. He did have a rushing touchdown, but he's largely the reason why Chicago is having an offense at all. It was kind of after the loss to Washington that they had this 4-game stretch that they were putting up 30 points or close to 30 points. They beat New England, Dallas, and Miami and Detroit that I mentioned, even 24 points against Atlanta. And he put together that really good one. He had a bad game against us, even though he ran for 88 yards. But I mean, he's had games like the Minnesota game before. He had He had a QBR the game before of 79.4. That's above average play. That's like really good QB play at 79.4.
And how about this stat line? How about 17 of 28, right? For only 123 yards, but 3 touchdowns. And then he rushed 15 times for 178 yards and another touchdown.
That's ridiculous, bro.
I mean, that is insane stat line. And they still lost the game. But they put up 32 points, like you're saying there.
Yeah. When's the last time Washington's offense? Now, we've had over 30 a couple times, but offense, there was defensive scores there. When's the last time this offense has been able to put up that kind of?
Yeah. And then the next week against Detroit, 12 of 20, 167 yards, 2 touchdowns and a pick, and 13 rushes for 147 yards and another 2 touchdowns.
I mean, those are running back numbers at his rushing stats, bro.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, I would be just about all in for Justin Fields here. The only downside is that what you might have to give up to get him, right? And then the other one is he going to make that next step?
Sure.
Right? Is he going to be that?
So one of the good things, and compare this to some of the other quarterbacks we're talking about, and like the Lamar Jackson, right? You know, if you're giving up resources for him, one, I don't think he's definitely not going to cost you as much as a Lamar Jackson,
right?
Both in trade acquisitions and money. And that second part is what's important here.
Mm-hmm.
He's still on a rookie contract. If you're trading for him, you have, him for dirt cheap. So if he makes that leap, you're in a great position to surround him with more talent as you're trying to work that. And so that's to me is one of the attractive parts here, and why on my list he's number 4. He's behind just behind Sam Howell. Nice. It's because he's young, he's on a rookie contract. If you give it up and he makes that leap, you're set. I think that Sam Howell has potential. I liked him going into the draft, so that's why I have him higher. He's not going to cost you any assets to trade or anything like that. But if Washington were to swing a deal with Chicago to get Justin Fields, I would be just as happy as I would have been 2+ years ago if they would have grabbed him.
Mm-hmm.
So realistically, it wasn't an option for Washington, but Justin Fields is someone who we liked 2 years ago. Why wouldn't I be happy to have him right now?
It was an option in terms of you would have to trade up to get him.
To do that.
And I guess, Ron and company didn't want to do that, but
I got him number 5 on my list. And I'll just say he is the start of he's number 5 because I'm basing his age and football experience. He's very young. So in the list that was provided for us to choose from, he's my first rawest prospect that's the best available to put as QB1 outside of like the best retreads that are out there, the best veterans, whatever. He's the best, rawest, most youngest quarterback I would have us leading the franchise if we had a chance. Because his ceiling is so high, bro.
It is very high for him.
Yeah, it's high. There's some excitement. Like you talked about the retreads, Trev. Like if you go out and you get a retread, or like Derek Carr that we just talked about, there's not really any excitement there. It's just like, okay,
9 seasons. It's like we know what he's gonna bring already. We still have no idea.
If you go get Justin Fields, there's some maybe not as high as 2012 RG3 excitement, but there's definitely going to be excitement there because you're like, this is a young QB who's potentially on the rise, and that could be something.
You got 3 years of control of him this year, next year, and 25 if you want to do the 5th-year option. And if it would spark like you said, it would excite people. It would get you pumped up for this team, and you're going to want to go see him.
Yeah,
right? He's that kind of a player.
Yeah, I would love to drive 3 hours to go see. We lose, whatever, but I'd see a show.
Right, you would see 3 hours,
knowing exactly what's going to happen. Another pick by Taylor Heineke, we lose the game. You knew it, like you knew it was coming.
Yeah.
But
I've got Justin Fields 3rd on my list. Of
3, 4, 5. Okay,
only behind Lamar and Tom Brady.
Wow,
I've got him ahead of Sam Howell.
Okay.
just because I think he's more dynamic
Yeah.
than Sam Howell is. I think he has more upside than Sam Howell does. So I have him just a little bit ahead of Howell, who's at 5. But yeah, I have him 3. I'm a little bit partial to him because I remember. Did you guys ever watch that show QB1?
With John Gruden?
Beyond the Lights or Behind the Light? No, it's just
Oh.
like a reality show about.
Yeah,
They take some high
wasn't
school
Rattler
quarterbacks.
on that one?
Who's that?
Rattler
Was
that,
on.
yeah.
One a couple years ago, and it only went like 3 seasons, but it was really well done. And I watched him on that. It was him and Tate Martell. Do you guys remember Tate Martell?
Yeah.
He's the guy that
Yeah.
went to Ohio State, right? And then when Justin Fields was at Georgia, and remember, he couldn't beat out who at Georgia? Justin Fields. He couldn't beat out Jake Fromm.
Yeah.
Right? So he said, I'm going to transfer. Tate Martell, who was at Ohio State, said, he said, I'm QB1 here, 100%. I'll be QB1. Don't even think about coming here.
Bye-bye.
Justin Fields says, I'm going to Ohio State. Tate Martell 2 weeks later transferred to Miami.
Yep.
So all these guys are kind of intertwined with all these different quarterbacks moving around. And then you have, you talked about earlier the Haskins and Burrow deal at Ohio State, and he had to get away to be able to flourish and all that. And that's what Justin Fields did. He couldn't beat out Jake Fromm. And then he went to Ohio State.
Hey, that insurance is no joke, bro.
Yeah. So I'm a little bit partial to him because I remember, watching that whole season of him in high school, and I fell in love with him there.
I just
kind of followed him, and I still think he's got that potential. Bring him here, please. I'm begging.
He does have that pop. Is there any reservations either of you want to share about getting him?
About getting him? I'm afraid that I love his running. I love the 15 attempts for 100 yards, touchdown, whatever. But we kind of want to tone that down just a little bit. We don't want a Lamar Jackson situation on our hands.
An RG3. Just go hit closer to home, right? This is he's got a similar body type,
but don't abuse him. You know what I mean? So that's the only thing. We could overuse him. He's already been hurt a couple of times this year, already. And it's the second year. So that's
not those serious injuries.
Not yet. No, but they mount up. Those little nicks and dings as a quarterback will mount up. So that's my only thing is if we overuse him here and he became a running quarterback rather than a mobile quarterback, and we goes out with injury, and we got.
I think the difference is though that he's not RG3 in size. Okay, no, RG3 was 110 pounds. I think he was 6'1" or 6'2" and maybe 200 pounds, right? Justin Fields is 6'3", 230. He's Josh Allen size, right? He's a big dude. He can take those hits. So I wouldn't worry so much about that, but I totally get your reservation about him running too much and being out in that open field and possibly getting that injury. That is one thing.
Runs is a lot of runs, bro.
Yeah, but that's when he started to flourish. Is when they kind of took the wrap off him and let him run a lot more, and that's when he started to flourish. So I like the running quarterbacks. I like the guys who are that.
Yeah, I do want to see him transition into a quarterback who is mobile. I mean, if he's running for Michael Vick numbers, I'm not going to stop him there. But he's got to end up becoming a polished passer, because when he gets to year 32, right, when he's 32 years of age, he's probably not running for 1,200 yards. Yeah. So now I need him to make up that. If he's running for 1,000 yards right now and only throwing for 2,200, that's still 3,000 yards of offense. I'm good with that, in his second year. But when we're in year 10, if he's running for 600 yards, I need him to be passing for 3,500 yards.
Right.
So because you still need that offensive production, and so that's what I need to see from him. That my reservation is that he is really close to RG. I know you're trying to tell me that he's not, and maybe his body build isn't quite the same.
Yeah.
RG3 6'2" was 213 or 2. Let me make sure I've got that right there. 213. Justin Fields is an inch taller and adds 15 pounds. So
that's a lot. 15 is kind of a lot.
It's my it's my place. I'm 6'3". I'm a lot more than 230 right now. But like when I get trim, that's the size. I
Mhm.
can live with that. I'm a that's a good QB size for moving around. I do still worry that there's the injury risk, but this is a QB that's a young QB who's potentially on the rise. I'm for it.
I'm
It-
for it.
If you guys, this is like a tease for Wednesday.
Yeah.
This is what I would do. You guys don't have to answer or comment on it for Wednesday. I'd give up Payne
I'm done.
and the 16th pick for Justin Fields.
All right. I can't wait till Wednesday comes. I'm saving
We're
my
gonna
answer.
wait for Wednesday for that conversation.
Yeah, we'll be here another
We-
hour just
Yeah.
trying to figure that.
That's a
BS out.
tease. That's what you call a tease.
I don't like that. I don't like to be teased.
Okay, sorry.
Oh, okay. I had so many things to say on that, and I'm like, well, that's not football related to make those kind of jokes. So let us know in the comment section. Justin Fields, QB1 for Washington in 2023. Let us know what you think about that. Where would he rank in your top 10 list? Even if you got Sam Howell as 1 through 10, let us know realistically, because if you can only put Sam Howell on there as number 1, let us know where Justin Fields would rank in there. What would you give up? For that, you're going to want to tune in on our Wednesday show. Again, that's Wednesday at 7:30 here on YouTube, 7:30 Eastern. But until next time,
Just win, baby.
Where's Tate Martell?
be a fan. Hey, thanks for watching us here on Ref the District. While you're at it, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Check out one of these other videos here as well. We create lots of great content. Of course, we're live every Wednesday at 7:30. Things get pretty heated there as well. Until next time, be a fan.